How you doing, guys? Today I'm going to show you how to put a Magpul enhanced trigger guard in your AR-15. This is the package right here. That's a picture of the trigger guard. Comes with instructions on how to install it, but I'm going to show you how to do that now. It's rather simple, but this will make it easy for anybody. What it does is it gets rid of this stock trigger guard. Now the stock trigger guard is kind of flat. It's kind of sharp on the edges. It has kind of an aggravating gap back here that rubs on your finger when you're shooting. When you move, if you move your finger sideways or whatever, it'll catch that. And it's just ergonomically, it wasn't designed well. It was designed to guard the trigger, and there wasn't much thought put into it, I guess. Now the Magpul trigger guard will fill in that gap, making it smoother, and it's curved. Now, they recommend when you're wearing heavy gloves with the stock trigger guard to swing this open to make the room. But you have to swing your trigger guard open, leaving your trigger exposed and not protected while you do that. What this does, being curved, is it gets you more room in that trigger guard for gloves without having to worry about swinging that out of the way. So, what this comes with is it comes with the trigger guard itself. Now this one is aluminum. They do make them out of plastic. Either way, they're good. I got the aluminum because that's what they had at the store that I go to. If they had the polymer one, I would have been perfectly happy with it. The polymer one actually has the Magpul logo molded into it. It looks good, it's durable. They didn't have any of those. Those are about $9.95. This one is about $18 or so. I went with this one. That's what they had. Had the other one, I would have gotten that. So, either way. It will also come with this roll pin. And this roll pin, let me get some light on there, is meant to replace this roll pin on the back of the trigger guard. It comes with this screw. This screw here is meant to replace this here. Now, if you look, this particular screw, I don't know if you can see it in this light, this screw has some thread locker on it. You might want to have some thread locker just in case. They do provide thread locker on it. If you happen to get one that doesn't have the thread locker on it, I suggest you use just a small drop of thread locker on it to keep it from working its way out. I also suggest having a piece of wood, a small block of wood, or something to support the tabs on your lower receiver. When you take this roll pin out, you want something that the roll pin can drop into, but is going to support those little ears, those little tabs, because they can break. They're not very thick, and if you bang on them too hard, or you push it out or in not straight enough, you can cause some damage. And once those break, now you're pretty screwed. We want to avoid that at all costs. Okay, a couple things you're going to need besides the thread locker, which you may not need, and that little block there, you're going to need an 1/8 inch punch. Now if you have a roll pin punch, that's excellent. A roll pin punch I don't have. This is just a flat punch. They do make roll pin punches with basically like a little nub or a little nipple on there that centers it in the roll pin. Those are great if you have them. If you don't, this will work just fine. You just be careful. And you'll also need a 1/16 inch hex key or Allen wrench for that screw there. That's what we need to get going, and you'll also need a hammer. You don't need one this big. I happen to not have any smaller hammers, believe me. It's either that or a 3-pound hammer, so we went with Junior here. Alright, so first thing we need to do is you take your punch. I have a smaller one here, you use the 1/8 inch one either way. For this, it doesn't matter. You're going to pop that in, it's spring loaded. Push that in, and then that trigger guard will swing out. Easy as that. That's the easy part. Next, you want to use your 1/8 inch punch. You want to make sure that you've got this set up and ready to go. You make doubly sure. You don't want to screw up your ears. It would suck if I did that. And you want to gently tap this roll pin out. Now you can check on it, make sure everything looks good. not breaking anything. Definitely do not want to screw up your lower receiver. Okay, if you need help, somebody to hold the gun for you, or hold the block to keep it steady, whatever you need to do. You just keep going, tapping it gently. Until that roll pin pops out. Now, that roll pin is done. There it is. Now you can take this roll pin and compare it to the new one. They are relatively the same size, so the roll pin is good. So you can either replace it with the one that you had, or you can use the new one. Either way, it doesn't matter, you keep the other one as a spare. We'll go back to here, and we're going to take this trigger guard and that'll pop right out. Now that's the stock trigger guard. Kind of like I said, plain, sharp on the edges, it's plastic, it's thin, it doesn't fill in that gap. This is a very minimalist design. They didn't do a whole lot of thinking when they did this, they just wanted something to put over there. Now what this is going to do, your Magpul trigger guard, you're going to drop this in, you always test fit everything, line up the holes, make sure everything looks good. Now you see that fills in, a little pointer here, that fills in this gap here, so you don't have as much space for your fingers to rub up against. It fills that in, it's much more comfortable, it gives you a curve, more room for your fingers if you are wearing gloves, or just more room, period, if you got big giant hands or something. Plus, as a bonus, it's more attractive than the stock one, which is nice, because it is a rather cheap and ugly looking thing. So we're going to put that in the spare parts bin. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to put this in here and get it lined up. Now you want to make sure that you put the trigger guard in there before you're trying to get this roll pin in. Because if you start banging on this with the roll pin in it and no trigger guard in there and that ear is unsupported, you can break the ear. Which I wouldn't want to do. So you can use a pin, you can use the punch to start it. You want to use the proper size punch. Or, in this case, to get it started, I'm just going to use the hammer gently. Since I don't have a roll pin punch that'll sit in it easy. And I can't hold the pin and the punch and the hammer all at the same time. You want to make sure you're getting that in there good and straight. Once you get it going, you're going to put your little support back in here. You can take your pin, punch, sorry. And go slow. If you feel any resistance, wiggle that around. Make sure it's, right now it's not fully seated. You want to go slow, nice and easy. You want to make sure that everything's lined up correctly. You can take this smaller punch if you want and line up that hole to make sure that that one's lined up. And we're going to continue with this. It's going in there slowly but surely. Do a little wiggle. It seems to be good. This is the place you don't want to make your mistakes. Caution pays off here. I'm going to just check everything. Make sure nothing looks out of the ordinary. Like I said, I hate to seem like I'm being anal, but you really want to be careful with this. And if you're nervous about banging this and having it slip off the receiver, go ahead to the store and get yourself a roll pin punch. It'll be, like I said earlier, just the same as this, but it'll have a little nipple that'll fit into the hole on the roll pin, and that'll make it so it don't slip off as easily. Now I'm kind of going to cover this with my finger, but not a whole lot I can do about that. Tap it gently. Alright, now when you're getting close to flush with this, you want to be careful. You want to make sure that that punch is lined up. I don't know if we have enough light here. Let me grab my flashlight. You want to make sure that that punch is lined up perfectly, because if you start banging on that roll pin and you're off to the side and that roll pin hits flush and you start banging on that ear, you can cause some damage, so we want to avoid that. So you want to make sure that's lined up. It's another good reason to have a set of roll pin punches. Because now it's going to start moving around. You want to stabilize it however you can. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to look on the other side of your receiver and see how much more you got to go. You got about a 1/16 of an inch there. And I'm flush on this side, so I want to go a little bit more. You want to get it to recess just a little bit. Now that's going to vary depending on your roll pin. Yours might be a little bit longer, a little shorter. You want to make sure you use the 1/8 inch punch. You use a small punch like this, and you might get it in there and spread that pin apart and make it harder to get in there. So make sure you're using the right size punch. That's important. And we're getting in there a little bit. Now we're going to check the other side. If you can't see it, let me get some light on there. Getting pretty close. Very close. Okay, so we got that in there. Now, you'll notice you get a little bit of silver exposed on the edge there, and you've got your silver on the end of the roll pin. You can take a black Sharpie and touch that up. It'll make it look just like new. If you have a roll pin punch, it'll probably look neater to begin with. Now, this other screw, you're going to take your 16th inch hex key, and you're going to drop that in there. Now you're going to want to make sure you got that hole lined up properly. You can do away with this block if it gets in your way now. I'll put it under here, or down here. Make sure that hole is lined up properly. Now this hole in here is threaded, so you're going to want to make sure these threads, you're going to kind of just sink it in there till you feel a little pressure, and then you're going to start turning. If that feels like it's going in with just a little bit of tension, not much at all, you're good to go. You don't want to put much tension at all, just 2 fingers is all you're going to need to get it going. If it seems like it's not going in right, take it out. Start over. This is threaded, but it's only aluminum. Aluminum will strip very easily, so you want to be careful. Safer is better. I hate to sound anal, but this is not the type of thing you want to screw up. You screw up these threads and you need to go buy a new trigger guard. Now you're going to turn this. Get some light on that for you, if it helps, I hope. Keep turning until it's about flush. You'll feel a little resistance. It's just below flush. That's all you need. Now these receivers, if you look at the stock trigger guard, there's nothing that comes out the back side. So there's nothing on the front of the trigger guard that attaches here. It's just, that's it. There's nothing there. You got 3 points of attachment. You got this side of the back, that side of the back, and this side of the front. That's all that holds it in there. You're in there, you're good. You don't want to go much further than that. It says to make it, if you look at the instructions, it says, using 1/16 hex key, slowly hand tighten the front set screw until it is flush with the receiver tab. And that's it. Take care to not over tighten the set screw as it can result in damage to your trigger guard. So it's flush. Even if you feel like you can go further, you don't want to go further because it needs this to be supported by this tab to hold the trigger guard in. You go too far, and now it's just going to flop out, which you don't want. You've got your thread locker on there already. You're good to go. That's it. You're done. So, that's all there is to it. It's pretty simple. Comes with some good instructions. Shows you exactly what you need to do. But sometimes it's a little easier to learn by watching somebody else do it. I hope that made it easy for you, and I hope that helped you out, and when you get yours, it'll be easy. Thank you. I hope you liked the video. I hope it helped. If you could subscribe to my channel. I don't have a lot of videos right now, but I plan on doing a few more. I have quite a few plans for videos in the future. So they're going to be some that are information, technical kind of videos like this that are going to help you with things. Some disassemblies, cleanings. I've also got some ideas for some shooting. Like I've got one video up now of shooting. And I've got some more fun stuff planned. So subscribe to the channel, and in the meantime, put some comments in the section below. If I missed something that I could have done better or differently, or if you got any tricks or whatever that work to make it even easier than this, help everybody out. Tell them what you got, and hopefully I'll see you on the next video. Thank you.